Hello and welcome to today's Momentum webcast, Migrating Oracle Databases to SQL Server 2005. For more Microsoft webcasts, go to microsoft.com/webcasts. And now I'd like to hand it over to our presenter, Samir Shah, an enterprise strategist with Microsoft. Samir?
Thank you, Eric. Welcome everyone to today's session on SQL Server and Oracle. My name is Samir Shah. I'm an enterprise strategist with Microsoft Corporation. What we want to do today is talk about the history of SQL Server, why should you migrate to SQL Server, the business value of SQL Server, the challenges, the benefits, as well as some comparison of Oracle and SQL Server. Finally, in the end, we will talk about some of the customer evidence, customers who have migrated from other databases to SQL Server for various reasons we're going to discuss today. So let me get started with the history of SQL Server. We are currently at the third generation of the SQL Server. When you look at the first generation, this is when we basically differentiated from Sybase. The second generation, where we had SQL Server 7.0 as well as SQL Server 2000. In SQL Server 7.0, it was a re-architecture of the relational server. We focused a lot more on manageability, and then in SQL Server 2000, we focused a lot more on performance and scalability of the database itself. In SQL Server 2005, the key areas are high availability, the security, the productivity, XML, as well as enterprise ETL. So these are all the mission critical features such as reliability, the security, high availability that we really heavily focused on in the third generation of SQL Server 2005. It will also worth noticing the leadership of Microsoft in including a lot of key functionalities, such as when you look at the first generation, we included the replication as part of the database at that time. In SQL Server 2007, we were the first ones to include OLAP and ETL inside the database itself. In SQL Server 2000, we were the first one to include data mining and reporting. And finally, in SQL Server 2005, we are able to include the enterprise level ETL and the deep data mining within the database platform itself. So you can clearly see our leadership, and you can clearly see the focus of the third generation is more about mission critical abilities. So why migrate from any other databases to SQL Server? There are 5 key reasons to migrate to SQL Server. The first one is the better decision making with an end-to-end integrated business intelligence. SQL Server provides the complete business intelligence platform. It provides a lot of tools and makes it easy for customers to make decision making much easier to implement, manage, and deliver it to their end users. It also improves the performance from both IT and personnel. It also improves security, which is key to many organizations today. And then it also increases development productivity. All this at a much lower cost compared to Oracle. So these are like top 5 reasons on why should you consider migrating from Oracle to SQL Server. And those reasons are better business intelligence, better performance, better security, better development productivity that you will like to get at much lower cost. So let me explain next what does the SQL Server 2005 data platform look like. When you look at this platform, first of all, there is relational engine, so there is relational database, right? This is where you store your relational tables and indexes and things like that. But on top of the relational database, you have many services included in the SQL Server. Enterprise Edition. So for example, you have integration services. The integration services allow you to extract the data from various sources, do the transformation, and load the data into relational database. So it's more of an ETL tool, which is part of SQL Server. The next one is analysis services. This allows you to build multidimensional cubes that will allow you to do more sophisticated analysis of your data. You can directly go to your relational database. It's very easy to take the relational information and build analysis services cube on top of that to do the analysis. Next, it also has a lot of data mining capabilities. And all this analysis can also be done using Microsoft Office, which is a tool which is very familiar to everyone. Then there's reporting services, allows you to tap into your data, unlock the data, and create enterprise level reports very easily using different tools. It also has notification services. So for example, your inventory levels are falling and you need to be notified. Notification services is a way of doing that. Also, for example, if you define key performance indicators for your business, and if these key performance indicators go bad from good, you want to be able to notify. All these things are possible by leveraging notification services. And finally, replication services. This service basically allows you to replicate data if you have multiple data centers or you have multiple sites and you have a need to replicate data across your organization. This allows you to do that. So all these services are part of SQL Server. And then there's a management tool. This management tool basically allows you to manage the data across all these services. So you do not have to work with different tools. You can just use Management Studio and manage your integration services, reporting services, your relational data. All these things can be done using a single tool. To take it a step further, this will also integrate with your operating system. So whether using SMS or a MOM, all these operating system manageability solutions can also well integrate with Management Studio to really give you a much better operational efficiency. So this is where the operational efficiency come into play, where a lot of organizations are trying to cut down the cost of their operations. They need the tools, they need the solutions that will help them cut that down. And definitely the integration of SQL Server and as part of Windows Server system, it allows you to do that. The next I want to talk about development productivity. How do you develop the integration services and reporting services? Do you need different tools? What about data mining and OLAP and analysis cubes? Do you need another tool for that, as well as your custom development, which could be done using Visual Studio? So we have a single tool. We have a single tool, Visual Studio, that can allow you to develop your integration services, your ETL. It can also allow you to develop your multidimensional cubes. It can also help you develop your reporting services. It can also help you create your custom application that just goes against relational information. So you have a single tool that allows you to do all this, and you can now really leverage developer skills and reuse these skills to develop more. Whether you need to develop applications for the front end or the middle tier as well as the back end, you use the same tool, Visual Studio. And that has a lot of integration with SQL Server as well as .NET. So SQL Server gives you very tightly integrated system, which integrates well with Visual Studio as well as .NET framework. And you have a lot of flexibility, you have a lot of reuse of skills when it comes to development. It can really help you improve your time to market. Now on the top, what you see is how do you access the data. So we talked about the operations, we talked about the development. Now let's talk about the database access. Now you have tools like Microsoft Office. You can use Microsoft Office, for example, to look at your cube that you built in analysis services. You can do drill ups and you can do drill downs. You can look at different scenarios using the most familiar tools to all the users. So integration with Microsoft Office is key. That can really help you use these tools and unlock the data. Equally, you can also use SharePoint Portal, and SharePoint Portal can help you collaborate. It also helps you consolidate all these reports and all the information that you use day to day and help you create the dashboard that you need. So for example, you can create a report or you can develop a report using Visual Studio, but then take this report and publish it on your dashboard. So it is an integrated platform where all these different services work together. There's a single tool for manageability. There's a single tool for development. And you have tools that are very familiar to the end users and it's ease of use. Also, there's a lot of third-party applications that support and run on this platform. Now, another key differentiator is that the relational database down there, it doesn't really have to be just SQL Server. Again, interoperability is key. So for example, a lot of customers use integration services with Oracle. Or they can also use reporting services with Oracle database as well as SAP. So some of these services are not just tied to SQL Server, but to the other databases such as Oracle. Okay. So next, customers ask, okay, then I like the message. I see the benefit of the integrated database platform, but I already have paid for Oracle. I don't see a reason why do I need to migrate from Oracle to SQL Server. And we have lots of customers, and specifically there's a white paper from CIO View that exactly talks about that. Should you migrate from Oracle to SQL Server? It also has a cost-benefit calculation tool. So if you know your current environment, you can plug the data in, such as how many CPUs you have, what operating systems you're running, such as Unix, to do the analysis, and it will actually show you that over the years, there is a much better TCO with Windows and SQL Server platform. The paper explains, even though you have bought the Oracle licenses, you already have the Oracle licenses in-house, it still makes sense for you to migrate from Oracle to SQL Server because savings in Oracle maintenance fees will help you offset the new cost. So when you look at your existing investment, when you see how much money you actually paid for your software licenses, plus how much you pay every year to Oracle for support and maintenance fee, it will show you the difference with the new platform if you were to migrate on Windows and SQL Server. It will do that comparison for you and show you how many years it will take, 2 years or 3 years, to get return on your investment fully paid up. So there's a lot of good material out there. I would encourage you to look at that white paper that I'm talking about, as well as the calculation tool, which is highlighted and linked into this slide itself. So next, I want to talk about what does SQL Server 2005 provide. So for that, I'm just going to go back. So first of all, it provides you the complete data platform. It has robust core architecture for enterprise data management. So it is enterprise ready. It has native tools and Microsoft.NET integration for development productivity, as we just talked about it. The integration with .NET, as well as integration with Visual Studio. And powerful built-in support for business intelligence. This is key. How fast I can get the data out of my relational tables and start doing reports, start doing analysis. How do I do better information management? And business intelligence platform, SQL Server, can help you do all of that, whether you need to do real-time decision making Or you just need to do performance management, and performance management including the planning, the budgeting, the monitoring, or scorecarding. All these things can be done using SQL Server 2005 and the BI platform. It will help you unify the organizational data. It will help you do the robust analytics and reporting using SQL Server Analysis Services and SQL Server Reporting Services, as I described them to you earlier. So it will help you do much better business intelligence compared to your existing environment today. Greater productivity. We have a productivity leadership. Team collaboration is key when it comes to the productivity of developers. Whether you need a smart applications or you need interoperability with your existing environment, we will help you do that. Just to give you an example, interoperability, we support all the network protocols, different directory types. We also work with Unix operating system and interoperate with Unix operating system. So we understand that the solution itself has to be flexible and interoperable to kind of have this type of an environment in your organization. Ability to take your Java applications and also running it on a SQL Server. So these are all the examples of interoperability that we do provide. So there's a great productivity that the SQL Server 2005 provides. Next, I want to talk about high performance. So we've been hearing, I've been talking about productivity and manageability or the complete integrated platform. But what about the scalability and performance? Is the SQL Server 2005 robust enough? Is it very reliable? What about the security? Some of these are very important to customers as well. And the good news is, yes, SQL Server is absolutely a very high performant database in a scale out or scale up manner. It has a lot of ability in SQL Server 2000 as well as 2005. For example, in SQL Server 2000, we had ability to do your clustering, so you have high availability using clustering solutions. In SQL Server 2005, we have introduced more features. One of the features that I would like to talk to you about is database mirroring. So for example, let's say you have a primary site somewhere. So here's my primary site. And I have another data center, a few miles away, you may say. So here's my secondary database. So I got my primary site and a secondary site. Now I may choose to kind of, make sure that my secondary site will be in operations if there's a disaster. So what you can do is you can actually synchronize the primary and secondary site either synchronously or asynchronously. So now, if the primary site goes down, you still have normal operations using the secondary site. Moreover, you may want these failovers to be done automatically rather than manual failover. So what you can do is set up a third server, which is a witness server, which is actually monitoring your primary server as well as your secondary server. So witness server basically allows you to do the automated failover from primary site to the secondary site. Witness server doesn't really need much besides SQL Express, which is a free version of SQL Server. And it could be any small box. And again, its purpose is only to monitor the operations of primary and secondary sites and fail them over accordingly. So you have ability to now do automated failovers. Not only that, but you may say that, okay, I want the ability to actually do reports on top of this secondary database. So you can actually do that by creating another new feature in SQL Server 2005. It's called snapshots. So you can create a snapshot on this secondary database, and once you create that snapshot, it's a point-in-time snapshot which you can use to do the reporting that you need. So it's a good way to achieve the high availability. The high availability is much faster. You can fail over from primary to secondary sites in within seconds or minutes. You can also open up the secondary site for reporting purposes if you like, so you can offload some of the workload from your primary site um, as well. This also kind of gives you good protection against human errors. So for example, if somebody does delete the data here in the primary site, and you want to know what did this database look like or what the values look like, you can easily go to the secondary sites and look at the snapshots. So you can also protect against human errors. So these are the lot of enhancements we have made in SQL Server 2005 in terms of performance, in terms of scalability, as well as security and high availability. There are lots of features we have introduced in SQL Server 2005 for mission critical abilities. So if you're already on SQL Server 2000, do evaluate the new features of SQL Server 2005 and see what values it brings to your organization. So again, when you combine these together, when you combine all these benefits together, what you get is a mission-critical database management and analysis in a box, SQL Server 2005. Next, what are the core benefits? Again, it's a trusted platform. It gives you the reliability and the security that you need. It gives you productive and manageable environment. It works like and with other Microsoft software. Now that's a huge advantage. For example, once you do set up the OLAP data or data mining, SQL Server in SQL Server you can build the multidimensional cubes, and once you build this multidimensional cube, you can use Office 2007 to do your analysis on top of that, as well as data mining, and look at the trends and the patterns. You can do all these things using Microsoft Office. So it's very important, and it's a big, huge benefit that it works like and integrates well with other products from Microsoft. Interoperability, I talked about that earlier. It's quite important because you want to be ability to kind of take the Oracle database out, maybe replace it with SQL Server, but when you do that, you need to ensure that that database will work in your existing environment and it will connect to the other databases or other systems and operating systems you have in your organization, which is quite important. And you can do all these things at a much lower cost. The options that I showed you earlier, let me just go back to this slide. When you buy SQL Server 2005 Enterprise Edition, you have all these options. These are not the options. You get integration services, you get analysis services, you get reporting services, unlike our competitors where you have to pay for this. You have to pay separately for business intelligence. You have to pay separately for multi-core CPUs. You have to pay separately for high availability. You have to pay separately for partitioning, and that's what they call options. Oracle specifically calls these options. The main differentiator with SQL Server is that all the services I talked about, including partitioning, it's part of the SQL Server 2005 Enterprise Edition licensing. So this is where you have a huge savings in the cost. Okay. So why are some of the customers migrating from Oracle to SQL Server? So these are the top 3 reasons we would like to share with you, and later on we will investigate some of these case studies to support that. But the 3 main reasons are, the first one is lower cost. As I just mentioned, the business intelligence is not an add-on with SQL Server 2005. Or if you need to get the high availability for your database, it's not an add-on, or it's not an extra cost option. It is part of SQL Server. The second main reason we found customers to migrate from Oracle to SQL Server is for consolidation purposes as well as standardization purposes. a lot of customers want to reduce the number of vendors they deal with today. If you already have Microsoft in-house, where you're running Microsoft on the desktops, now you can run business intelligence. Now you can run SQL Server 2005 database platform. You can run these Microsoft tools that will help you more consolidating number of vendors as well as standardization um, of your systems. Also, the third key benefit is the business intelligence. Customers see exceptional deployment experience as well as they love the business intelligence capability of SQL Server. Being able to unlock the data is key to a lot of organizations, and they need to deliver the information in a right time, in a right format to their end users. And what's easiest to get there is quite important. That's where business intelligence capabilities of SQL Server really shine. Okay. Now, when it comes to migration, let's say you want to migrate from Oracle to SQL Server, a lot of times, customers think about, okay, things that I have in Oracle, will they work fine in SQL Server? And it's a valid concern. And what we have done based on a lot of customer feedback, we added a lot of features specific to that in SQL Server 2005. First, for example, is the snapshot isolation. Okay, so Oracle has a different concurrency isolation for readers and writers, for example, not being blocking each other. In SQL Server 2000, we had pessimistic locking. In 2005, we have optimistic as well as pessimistic locking. Using these different locking schemes, you're able to get more concurrency. And a lot of customers basically said, okay, in order for them to migrate from Oracle to SQL Server, they need the same level of concurrency. They want to make sure that readers and writers do not block each other. That's what this feature is. Using the snapshot isolation, which is a new feature in SQL Server 2005, it provides you the multi-version concurrency similar to Oracle. And as a result, readers and writers do not block each other. Also, one of the main concerns are the different data types that you might be using in Oracle database. You can leverage user-defined data types in SQL Server to map whatever the data types you have in your Oracle database today and map it into these data types in the SQL Server as user-defined data types. XML is another concern too. If you're doing any work with XML in the database today in Oracle, we also allow you to natively store XML in SQL Server also. MARS, or something which stands for Multiple Active Result Sets, is a key feature where you just open up a single connection, but using that single connection, you have to have ability to send more commands and get result sets from it. Oracle replication is a key thing. This goes back to what I said earlier, is what if you have a lot of Oracle in-house and you want an ability to interoperate with these Oracle database and their SQL Server database now. So one way which I discussed was using integration services. You can get the data from Oracle database into SQL Server database, and you can do the transformations in the process. But at the same time, we have another thing called Oracle replication. So in near real time, you can replicate from Oracle database to SQL Server, so that as the data is coming into your Oracle database, you can take this data and send it over to SQL Server database. Finally, the Java database connectivity, or JDBC, is quite important. I don't think this is beta anymore, but we have a lot of third-party vendors as well as Microsoft JDBC driver that can help you run your existing Java applications on top of SQL Server database as well. So there are a lot of features we have in SQL Server specifically that will help you easily migrate from Oracle to SQL Server. Okay, few things on business intelligence. We talked about the value of Microsoft's business intelligence. Now, I just want to say, why is that very important? Why faster return on information is quite important? Because of the faster return on information, you can see the following benefits. You basically get improved business productivity and responsiveness. You can also lower your IT costs. You can also get connected inside and faster decisions. You also get secure and reliable database access. These are all the key benefits of having the right business intelligence platform. And the question is, do you have what it takes to achieve those benefits? If not, then it definitely makes sense for you to look into the business intelligence that SQL Server offers. Okay, now it's also very affordable and easy. SQL Server, first let me start with SQL Server Express. SQL Server Express is a free version of SQL Server that you can download and use. There are limitations on it, such as size, 4 GB or so, but it is a way for you to download it, use it freely to development or any other purposes. Alternatively, you can also use Workgroup Edition. So the Workgroup Edition can allow you to also, develop, in a departmental fashion. If you have a small department that needs a database, you want to get started with the development, deployment, and final implementation, you can do that using this Workgroup Edition of SQL Server. So it delivers low cost and easiest to use. So these are the easiest to use databases as the lowest cost possible. And that will be SQL Express and Workgroup Edition. The next will be, you want the ability to do more. You want to do more for less. You want to do more functionality, but at the same time, you don't want to be attached to very high cost. That's where you want to start considering Standard Edition as well as the Enterprise Edition, right? So you need to then evaluate whether I need a Standard Edition or the Enterprise Edition. A couple of things to mention. Both of these editions do offer you high availability. So you can do clustering not only with the Enterprise Edition, but with also Enterprise Edition. So a lot of functionalities is carried forward in Standard and Enterprise Edition. We do have detailed information, or I would suggest that you contact your account team to help you understand which edition will be better for you, for your business needs. Another thing is the partitioning feature that I mentioned earlier, where our competitors actually charge separately for this option. And partitioning is nothing more than, let's say, if you have a very large table, if this table really gets unmanageable because it has a lot of data, it has millions and millions of rows in it. It takes a long time to build the queries on it. It takes a long time to build the indexes on it. How do you manage that? And in that case, you want to take your large table, and you want to take this large table and divide it up into smaller portions. Just to give you an example, this could be, let's say, your sales table. So at a very high level, this is your sales table. And it's really growing in millions of rows. So you can partition this table so that you have different partitions now. For example, you have sales for Q1, then you have another partition for sales for Q2, you have Q3, and so on. Now, this will be totally transparent to the applications. So the queries, whether they come to this table or whether they come to these partitions, it will be transparent. But the benefit you get is that you got a nice rolling window here, where as you grow your data, you can drop your partitions that you no longer need. The queries will run faster because instead of looking at the entire table, let's say I'm looking for some data in Q3, when my query comes in, it's going to just use the data from this partition by using something called partition elimination. So my queries are going to be much faster. Not only that, it also gives you great manageability. So instead of managing this large table, now you're managing chunks of partitions here. you're partitioning, and now you're managing these partitions one-on-one basis. So you can back up these partitions if you wanted to. You can put them on a different file groups if you wanted to. There are a lot of things you can do, backup and recovery. So it gives you great flexibility, specifically in the area where you have very large table and you need to do all these things. Now again, with SQL Server, this is part of the Enterprise Edition database, unlike our competitors where they need to buy this option separately and pay for it. Moving on to the next one, it provides the advanced BI capabilities at commodity prices. The services that I earlier talked about, the integration services, the reporting services, being able to build a multidimensional cube and do the analysis or do the data mining, it's provided at no cost. It's provided at no extra cost. Also, multi-core CPUs. I mean, whether you use 2 cores or quad cores, the pricing of SQL Server does not really change. So that's another significant advantage we have over our competitors, like Oracle, where they use different fractions to kind of come up with the pricing for you, depending on how many cores you use in your chips, and use factors depending on what the operating system is. We do not do that. Our pricing is much simpler compared to our competitors. Another thing is the report builder. If you like to, here's a report builder. If you like to, give your users the ability to run the report directly, design the reports and run it against the data, you could do that using this report builder tool, which is also new in SQL Server 2005. Another thing is this report builder does not just run on SQL Server database. If you wanted to run that against the Oracle database, you could also do that. So it gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. You're not tied into complete SQL Server solution here. If you buy SQL Server for a project, for example, you like business intelligence on top of it, you love the tools, you love the development, but now you want to say, you know what, I have another existing Oracle database which I don't want to migrate right now. But it will be great if I want the ability to use the same tools that I'm familiar with and go across Oracle database. We can also do that. So if you want to start smaller, where you want to start migrating your Oracle databases that are small in size or simpler or even enterprise level, you can start migrating those and get familiar with those migration processes, get familiar with those tools, and at the same time you can use the same tools to go across the other data sources. And finally, we provide fair and flexible licensing options. One of the key things are passive servers. I kind of drew data mirroring for you where I drew up the primary site and the secondary site. And secondary site, you may just run it in a passive way just for disaster recovery. So Microsoft does not charge for these passive servers, unlike our competitors. Oracle actually charges a full license on passive servers. So if you set up a data guard, I mean, the relating technology is called data guard in Oracle, and if you want to just set up the data guard in a passive way, you still have to have full Oracle license on that database. Although it's not an option with Oracle, it does require a full license. But so our practices, licenses practices are much flexible. More fair. It doesn't have any, separate licensing just for the backup servers or disaster recovery servers. As I mentioned earlier, that multi-core pricing is key now. All the new boxes that you buy, has multi-core CPUs in it, and you don't want to pay extra just because you're using those CPUs. Where Oracle has a practice of charging you differently depending on the cores as well as the operating systems that you use. And finally, it's key to talk about ISVs. Again, low-cost options for ISVs also. So bottom line is, all these capabilities and all these functionalities is available to you in a much better, affordable, and easier way. Okay. Now, what I want to do is quick comparison of SQL Server with Oracle 10G. Again, we have lots of information. We have lots of information on Oracle versus SQL Server. In each one of these categories, we have documents that describe how SQL Server provides much better high availability compared to Oracle at a much lower cost. And that's important, that you need high availability for your businesses, but that does not mean you have to pay a high cost for that. So we have papers describing that. It talks about the performance and scalability. We have done a lot of benchmarks, and Microsoft has history of providing much better price performance. We have also demonstrated in TPCC, which is an industry standard. Using these industry standards, we have demonstrated a lot of good benchmarks, both for TPCC as well as TPCH. TPCC is really for OLTP types applications. TPCH is for data warehousing types applications. We have very good numbers on that, and that demonstrates our ability to give you much better performance as well as scalability. Just to highlight one, in TPCC, we have demonstrated processing of more than 1 million transactions per minute using this industry standard. Now, in reality, I do not know of any applications that requires to process more than this workload, that requires processing more than 1 million transactions per minute. So, it kind of demonstrates that SQL Server has ability to give you what you need, the demand that your business has. It will be more than happy to satisfy that. Security is a key concern to a lot of customers. Security is an industry problem, and depending on what the customers are doing, it's very important that the database is robust. Database is very secure. More vulnerabilities, that you have, more risks you carry. And what we have done in security is a lot. Years ago, we started an initiative called Trustworthy Computing Initiative, and because of that Trustworthy Computing Initiative, we actually changed the way we developed our own software. So we have much different cycle of a software development now. We have security checks at every step of the development. We have QA testers, and these are not just testing the functionality, but they are testing the security. So we changed the way we developed, and we made a lot of enhancement to how we do security in this Trustworthy Computing Initiative. We also talked about the development productivity. Tight integration of Visual Studio and .NET is a key to kind of give you much better development productivity as well as service-oriented architecture. And finally, business intelligence is also included in SQL Server license. Okay, and to show you the business value of migrating from SQL Server 2005, these are the two tools. This is a white paper and a tool that I talked about earlier. Just wanted to share what the tool had to say. So based on the tool, it clearly shows that customers who want to add business intelligence to existing Oracle system can save by migrating to SQL Server 2005. So what this white paper actually has done is taken different scenarios. That why would you, this is more like a financial impact. Why would you migrate from Oracle to SQL Server? I hear that there are higher costs for Oracle support and maintenance on Unix, for example. How is it that if I have a license for it from Oracle, still when I buy the new environment on Windows and SQL Server, it's still going to be much cheaper, let's say in 3 years. How is this possible? So it kind of provides the financial justification to you. And they have a lot of scenarios with numbers in it that shows you that one of the scenarios is business intelligence. So if you have an existing system, but now you're thinking about doing business intelligence, you have a much better return on your investment, because when you go to SQL Server, you don't have to pay any extra for business intelligence specifically. Or if you have a database and you want to get high availability now, it has become more critical to your customers. So how do I, without increasing my costs, do that? And if you have an existing Oracle Unix system, it does a comparison of showing you, why it makes sense financially to migrate from Oracle to SQL Server. So again, I will encourage you to look at these tools and white papers and do some analysis and see how SQL Server and Windows platform can really help you. I mentioned security earlier. According to Enterprise Strategy Group, and that's ESG group, they actually went through some common vulnerabilities data, right? This is from the National Vulnerability Database to compare a security vulnerability between the commercial databases. And as you can see, a report says that Microsoft, with proper execution, to be years ahead of Oracle and MySQL in producing secure and reliable database products. If you look at number of vulnerabilities, this is where Microsoft is, right? This is where the Microsoft is. You can clearly see that. Where it has been pretty much flat. It has been pretty much flat because of Trustworthy Computing Initiative. And again, not to say that there's not going to be a vulnerability tomorrow. It's an industry-wide problem, but it's an impact of our trustworthy computing. It is paying off. What we have done, it was a little bit painful for us to modify the entire software development lifecycle, but it was well worth it where it helped us really to reduce our vulnerabilities. You can see the other competitors where they are, and you can specifically see Oracle right there, who carries a higher trend of vulnerabilities. So according to ESG, when it comes to security, SQL Server clearly shines. Okay, now what I want to do is talk about customers who have successfully migrated from Oracle to SQL Server. Some of these customers, like Dan Foss, actually have migrated even their SAP applications running on Oracle to SQL Server. So there are lots of customers who have actually migrated SAP applications as well as other applications to SQL Server. But other customers include Motorola, HR and Block, Radio Shack. All these customers have actually migrated from Oracle to SQL Server for some of these reasons we discussed in the presentation today, such as the value of business intelligence platform, being able to increase the productivity, and being able to do more for less. These are the top reasons why these customers have migrated from Oracle to SQL Server. First, I want to talk about Motorola. Motorola actually used a tool called SQL Server Migration Assistant. So we have a tool called SSMA, or SQL Server Migration Assistant tool. This tool can help you migrate your existing Oracle database to SQL Server. It's a great tool. It can also help you do the analysis. So if you are interested in running this tool against your database, you can do that. And it will give you analysis of how much of the database will automatically convert using that tool, and what is the manual effort, and how long would it take to fix that manual effort. So it gives you a great assessment of migration complexity, because that's what you probably want to know first. Okay, if I want to take my Oracle database and migrate to SQL Server, what's the risk involved? Or what's the complexity involved? How am I going to do that? So this tool can specifically help you do that. In the case of Motorola, a tool that did everything in an hour, and it migrated everything from Oracle to SQL Server. In reality, there won't be that many cases where migration is going to be that easy, but it will at least give you an idea that what is involved in migrating from Oracle to SQL Server. Again, you can also download this tool from our website. The migration tool itself is available on our website that you can use freely and do the assessment if you like, or if you want to do the conversions and migrate everything over, you can also do that. The next customer is Launch. They're pretty much the music website, and they wanted to do a lot of personalizations of their pages, web pages. So they also again use SQL Server to do that, and they got outstanding price to performance ratio. And that was the key benefit that they actually achieved. They also saw that SQL Server actually sped up the development cycle. So this is where they really benefited from the development productivity that the platform itself offers. The next one is the government, and this is specifically the Indiana Department of Administration. they saw 90-day return on their investment. Okay, so they wanted to, the problem started out as they wanted to reduce the response times, and they wanted the platform that was going to be able to do that at a lower cost without increasing a lot of cost to them. And that's another example where customer, kind of is running on SQL Server. Okay. So to help the customers, we also have special programs for SQL Server migration. So if you are interested in migrating from Oracle to SQL Server, we do have special discounts for Enterprise Edition as well as SQL Server Edition. So we encourage you to contact your account managers for details. These discounts can range anywhere from 25 to 50% when you consider migrating from Oracle to SQL Server. Also, we have funding available for proof of concepts with Oracle, with Microsoft partners. You can contact the partner, or you can contact the account team again to get more details. So we have this funding to help you do that. It's important to have a lot of training. If you are an Oracle shop, you certainly need training. You need to retrain the DBAs on SQL Server. So we have, labs. We have special training courses to help you do that. So you can manage the SQL Server database more easily and get the skills that you need. Next, there are a lot of resources out on our website. You can go to microsoft.com/SQL/migration. You can get the case studies that we talked about today. You can get the demonstrations, the ROI tools, including there's a link at the bottom of the page about the migration assistant that you can download and play with. So we would encourage you to go to these websites or give us a call if you have any questions. So what I want to do now is kind of open up for the audience. If they have any questions, you can type a question in your question manager that you see at the bottom. And I do see there are some questions there.
Yes, and thank you, Samir. Before we get to the questions, I just want to let everybody know that by attending today's live webcast and filling out an evaluation, you will be entered into a drawing for a Zune portable media player. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the survey now, and we'll just leave this up for the remainder of the webcast. You'll see there are two options, registered online and all of the registrants. Just select the one that applies to you. And yeah, Samir, I see we have a number of questions in the queue. If you want to get to those, it'd be great.
Sure. Okay. The first question is, they want to know more about the JDBC. Again, we have a group dedicated to JDBC here at Microsoft, and they work on these JDBC drivers to make sure that it has a very good performance compared to JDBC running on other platforms. So we certainly have a lot of focus on the JDBC itself. So if you have Java applications, you can use these JDBC drivers, which is available for your download at the Microsoft website. Also, one key note is you can also use third-party drivers. There are third-party vendors who also offer JDBC drivers to Microsoft database, like DataDirect. So you have ability to do that, connect your Java applications to the SQL Server database. The next question is, does RAC technology correspond to SQL Active-Active cluster? And again, those of you who don't know what Oracle RAC is, Oracle RAC is Real Application Clusters. And an ability, what RAC offers is two things. RAC offers hivability and a scale out. So what we have is ability to do hivability using our clustering as well as database mirroring. So if customers need hivability, they will have to use these technologies. If they need scale out, we have a lot of scale out technologies to help you do that. And such as we have dependent data routing, we have shared scalable database, which is like sharing the same database across multiple nodes in a read-only fashion. So we have a lot of scale-out technologies also. So RAC, again, look at it from RAC perspective. It gives you hivability and it gives you scalability. we have solutions that can give you the hivability and the scalability that you need using the technologies that I mentioned. One particular thing about RAC is we do not think that that technology is that easy to implement and easy to manage and tune, and it also carries a lot of cost. One of the things about RAC, I mean, if you look at Oracle licensing, a typical CPU license is about $40,000 per CPU, and if you add partitioning on it, it's $50,000. If you add RAC on it, it's $70,000. So even if Oracle gives you a huge discount on top of that, it's still not going to come any close to the pricing that we offer today. So RAC is very expensive. It's very complex to manage. It's very complex to tune. And if the requirement is to get the hivability or scalability, we have much better and simpler solutions. The next question is, do you get SSIS with Express or workgroup additions? Again, I do not think so, but I would encourage you to look at the Microsoft website where we have a matrix for products and the different editions and what's available in enterprise version as well as the standard editions, Express, and so on. So we have a complete matrix of this. If you can shoot me, I will, definitely give you my email address in a private answer. Actually, I have lost that ability, but I would, in that case, encourage you to just look at the Microsoft website. There's a link on comparing all these different editions, so that if there's any additional features that you would like to see, it will be listed there. Okay, there's another question out there, which is about the ESG graph. Okay, and the question is, I'm going to have to open that up. To keep the ESG graph in perspective, what is the number of instances of SQL Server versus Oracle instances? Again, in the ESG, what they actually did is look at the national database on number of vulnerabilities that they had. So what they actually do is, if you go to Oracle website, they have security bulletins and they have security vulnerability reports right there. If you go to the Microsoft website, there's a you have the ability to look at the vulnerabilities and bulletins there as well. So you can actually see that this data is not specific to number of instances of Oracle or anything, or SQL Server or anything like that. This is common at the engine level or at the kernel level. So if I have, let's say, Oracle database, how many vulnerabilities did I announce this year? Or how many vulnerabilities that I declared this year? So it's completely independent of number of instances or anything like that. This is purely based on their security alerts that they come in, and once the security alerts come in, you investigate the security alerts and then you issue a vulnerability. So this is completely based on that, and it's not dependent on number of Oracle or number of SQL servers out there. It's independent of that. So with that, I would encourage other people to ask more questions. We have about a minute left. We have time for maybe one more question if somebody has it.
I'm showing no further questions at this time, but we have quite a few. That was really nice. I do want to thank everyone for attending today. And that concludes today's webcast. You may now disconnect from the audio portion of this conference. And of course, thanks to Samir Shah as well. But you may now disconnect. Thank you.